Can you hear
Kinda.
me?
I still hear the echo.
Okay, can we start?
Maharaj, we need some space above your head because otherwise, yeah. It's perfect now. Okay.
All right. So, can we get started? Can we get started? Hello?
Maharaj, we're ready for you. Everything is fine. You can start.
Okay. So, welcome everyone to this class or discussion or presentation, whatever it is. And the topic is protection in ISKCON. So, when we talk about protection, let's first get the literal meaning of protection. Protection basically implies trying to see that someone does not encounter danger or loss or injury. That's protection. In our childhood, we are protected by the mother. In fact, right from pregnancy, the fetus is nourished and protected by the mother. As we develop and eventually get born, we again protected by the mother, by our mother, and other family members, father too. And so protection is something that we experience right from birth, right from when before even we come into this, we were born, we were being protected. So it appears that the mother does a lot to protect us. The father does a lot to protect us. Guidance do a lot to protect us. And as we grow, when we go to school, the teachers protect us from danger, from harm, from injury. In some countries, from kidnapping. In some cases, from terrorist attacks. And the important thing for us to understand is behind the whole of this scenario of people being protected, men and women, old and young, being protected, there is someone who is orchestrating it, who is behind all this power of protection. But before we get into that, let's understand clearly that there are certain things that we do not get protected from their impact or from their influence or from their effects. For instance, we do not get protected from flood. We do not get protected from old age. We don't have protection against a number of things. And therefore, what naturally happens is that, for instance, when there is a hurricane coming, in America is very rampant, and other countries, the government and that the department of government in charge of the weather, they give you some predictions. They only give protections. They can't protect us from the impending hurricane. What they could do is that you leave your city, you leave your town, move to another town. They cannot protect you from that natural disaster. For instance, again, earthquake. If earthquake happens, it wreaks havoc on society. People die. And sometimes the scientists, they know earthquake will happen in this place and such year or such and such month. But they cannot protect the humans or the residents from the earthquake because it's beyond their power. The government protects individuals. The police system is there. And so protection is very important. There is a setup by the government to protect us. But there are certain things that even the government cannot protect us from their effects. I mentioned about hurricanes, flood, or even winter, harsh winter. Nobody can stop it. And, the government cannot say, we'll stop the winter, don't worry, we'll protect you from the winter. No. Winter will come. The only thing that we can do is perhaps to wear warm clothes. But winter will come, for sure. And so, that is another thing that we ultimately experience, and no scientist can protect us from death. The scientists, the government, our parents, our family members cannot protect us from death, old age, and disease. So in Krishna consciousness, we understand that it is the Supreme Lord who gives protection to everyone. It doesn't matter whether they are devotees of the Lord or not. The Lord gives protection to everyone. For the devotees of the Lord, he gives special protection. But he also gives general protection. So in other words, Lord Krishna could be referred to as protection general and protection special. Yeah, because for those who are having loving exchanges with him, he gives them special protection. And Our founder Acharya, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and mentions in his comments in the Bhagavatam, and not even Prabhupada's comment only, even Lord Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kuntiya Pratijanihi Nami Bhakta Panashit. That Lord Krishna said that his devotee will protect his devotee. His devotees will not be vanquished. And we see that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. All the military phalanxes that engage in the war, they all were vanquished. It was only the 5 Pandavas, Krishna's devotees, that survived it. They were protected by Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna, he is the protector of everyone, but especially for the devotees of the Lord. And for the devotees in ISKCON, we get our protection, our special protection from Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna also mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Sarvadama Paritaja Mam Ekam Sanam Praja Aham Tvam Sarvapapibhyo Mokshayishami Masuja. He said, abandon everything, surrender unto me, I'll deliver you. I'll deliver you from the ocean of samsara. I will protect you from sinful reactions. Sarva papibhyo. Sarva means all. Nobody can protect us from sinful reactions. Krishna is the only person. No demigod can protect us from sinful reactions. Krishna is the only Supreme Personality of Godhead who can protect us, who has been protecting his devotees from sinful reactions. We have been engaged in activities, in unethical activities, and that is why we have been moving from one body to the other, from one planet to the other, from one universe to the other, assuming, taking different forms of bodies. This is due to the reactions to our past activities. Now, Krishna mentions in the Gita that when we become his active devotees, because I say active in the sense that everyone is a devotee of Lord Krishna. Why? Because Lord Krishna says, Mama evam so jiva loka, jiva bhuta sanatana. He says, everyone is his parts and parcels. So everyone is the father and the mother of every one of us, every living being, every human, animal, species, all types, all species. Krishna is the father, is the mother. So everyone is actually a devotee of Krishna. But in some cases, they are not active devotees. So those who have taken cognizance of their relationship with Krishna and the need for them to become align with Krishna, recognize Krishna's special mercy, serve Krishna in devotional value with devotional values. Krishna protects them. It gives them special protection. We see in the case of Arjuna on the battlefield how he protected Arjuna and the Pandavas. Millions of people died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is not a mythology, it is a location, a field in India. People can visit that place. So the Bhagavad Gita is not a mythology. Krishna was on this planet. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But the point is that he protected these devotees from the onslaught of disaster. And so in this question is, are devotees protected? Who needs protection? Who gives the protection? For what? Protection from what? So we mentioned all of these points. These points have already been addressed, right, as we spoke. So we get inflicted by natural calamities. We get inflicted also by man-made calamities. Our bodies, our minds, our sensory modalities, they're also a source of pleasures, miseries. And therefore, the whole idea of taking up bodies, no matter how beautiful, how wonderful the body may be, one has to undergo old age, disease. Even the doctors, they get sick. If even we don't want to be sick. And therefore, we should understand that there's a need to change our status quo. There's a need for a positive devotional change. And therefore, Krishna advocates that when we take shelter of him, he will protect us even from repeated birth and death. Protection from repeated birth and death. Nobody can give us that except for Lord Krishna. And this is also confirmed in the Shastra, Brahmanda Brahmite Konya Bhagavan Jiva. The embodied soul has been moving from one Brahmanda to the other, from one universe to the other. And if the living entity is lucky, he encounters or she encounters a pure devotee of the Lord. And then is intelligent, he takes shelter of that pure devotee and savvy, make some inquiries about devotional service, and take to devotional service in earnest, affect their existence so that he could get Krishna protection from repeated birth and death. So in this way, we understand that we are getting the ultimate protection from Krishna as devotees of his God. Because Prabhupada is so merciful, and sometimes we don't even realize how merciful Prabhupada is. And sometimes we don't realize how we are suffering in this world. Someone may have a very big house. Someone may have private jets. But Even the people who are private jets, they commit suicide. Why? Why couldn't they be protected from suicide? You see, so suicide means one becomes depressed. One is not happy with their existence, the state of affairs. And one thinks better to end these miseries. But it doesn't end with killing the body. So the Lord of Lords, Lord Krishna, protects the devotees from getting into this type of mindset of thinking that they are the controllers. Ishwaruham, Aham Bogi, Siddham, Balawan. If someone thinks that they are so powerful, they have so much facilities for enjoyment, and they're perfect. And then he or she may not take shelter of Lord Krishna. And you will not get the ultimate protection from the Lord. What is that ultimate protection? Repeated birth and death. And sometimes people think when you have plenty of degrees, then you're protected from every type of miseries. Or when you have plenty of money, then your life is secure. It's not true. Even when you become a billionaire, your life is still at risk. Because there are many things that are beyond our control. We cannot buy control over that with our money. And therefore, it's only Krishna who can give us that protection. Let's get this point clearly. I have some of my friends who have even 3 PhDs, but their lives are very miserable. Because there is a gap in their lives. In the Bhagavatam, and the purpose to Canto 1, chapter 2, text 7, Prabhupada mentions about how the protection in this world, sometimes people misunderstand the protection, the real protection that they need. Protecting the body is fine, but what about the soul? The government is helping to protect us from harm to the body. But what about the soul? What about the spirit soul? What about the protection that the spirit soul needs from having to take repeated bodies, repeated birth and death, having to go through this vicious cycle that the government cannot provide for us? And therefore, Prabhupada comes into the view. The spiritual master comes into the view to make the provisions for us to become decarcerated from this vicious cycle of birth, death, disease, and old age. So our Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada mentions that we are advocating for the protection of women, protection of children, protection of the elderly. But then a man may say, I don't need protection. Because I'm very strong. No, it's not true. The child is under the protection of the mother. A girl child is under the protection of the parents. And when they grow up, finish their school, the career they established, they're married, they come under the protection of the husband. The boy child is a different scenario. They're married, they have to protect their wives. So there's a responsibility, even just getting married. Also, there's an implication, there is a protection implication in marriage. Husband is supposed to protect his wife and wards, children or maids. He's supposed to protect them. And the ultimate protection for the wife is for the husband to ensure that the wife goes back home, for the husband to give her the ticket to go look back home, back to God. So that is the protection implication of marriage. If we cannot protect our wives from having to take repeated bodies, then the purpose of marriage is defeated. Because the whole idea of the human form of life is Krishna prema umato moha, to attain pure love for Krishna and break out from this cycle of birth and death. In other words, the whole idea of the human life, and in ISKCON, we cultivate that very purpose, which is to cultivate devotional service. And the ultimate goal of devotional service is to bring us to that level where we can attain pure devotional service to Krishna and become protected from the cycle of birth and death, disease, old age. So protection is needed in our lives. Someone may know, some other person may not know. If someone doesn't know, it doesn't mean that they don't need it. It's just that they don't know. When we have children, we have to protect our children. Not just giving them physical protection, we have to give them spiritual protection too. Spiritual protection here implies being able to facilitate their spiritual leverage so that at the end of this life, they don't have to come back again. They go back to God. In fact, that is the whole idea of family development. That the man is responsible for the protection of the family, not only physically giving, providing the physical needs, but also the spiritual needs. Talking about protection is a big topic that you can talk about. And we see in civilized cultures, Vedic culture, for instance, when people get married, they're like self-realized. They perform lots and lots of austerities, attain some high level of spiritual realization before they venture into marriage. Because then the marriage becomes an avenue for helping the dependents and the spouse for emancipation from the clutches of birth and death. In other words, protection from the cycle of birth and death. And some people understand this very well. I remember vividly I was traveling in America, and some parents, those, uh, a lady and her daughter were serving me. They were helping, cooking for me, and other things. And so the lady was doing a PhD program. And so at some point in time, I went again to that country, to that state, US. And then the mother of that lady who was doing a PhD at the time, she's finished now, she's a professor. The mother of that lady, she came to ask me about one boy, and the daughter was trying to get married to. So she was asking me about the guy, about that devotee. So I said, yes, I know him. He's a very rich guy. He comes from a very rich family. and this Mataji, she said, Maharaj, it's not about riches. Can this boy take my daughter back to God? In other words, can he protect my child from repeated birth and death? I didn't have an answer to it, so I kept quiet because I cannot tell something I don't know about. In other words, we can't fool people around all the time. We may fool some people for some time. We can't fool everybody all the time. Sometimes people want sex, and because in ISKCON, illicit sex is not allowed, boyfriend and girlfriend is not allowed, then the person says, I want to marry. But then are you ready to give protection to your family? Are you ready to give protection to your spouse? And if there are kids, are you ready to give protection to your family? In other words, to release them from the circle of birth and death. So I remember also another case. I remember one young man. He was in college at the time. He was in his final year in college. He was studying mechanical engineering, final year in college. And he was actually going from the temple to the university, to the college. And he was my mentee. So at the time, I wanted to finish almost, that's the last semester. And he told me, Maharaj, I think I need to get married. I said, well, that's a good idea. But do you have the facilities? For instance, do you have a house? To marry means to be a householder. Do you have a house? He said no, because he's staying in the temple. Doesn't have a house. I said, but marriage means householder, means holding a house. He was laughing. So, yeah, sometimes people say these things and they don't seem to understand the deep implication, the deep meaning. So then, because he was a close ally, a close buddy, I was just very down to earth with him without mixing words. So I told him such and such. See, the point is that you want to have sex, but in ISKCON, illicit sex is not allowed. So now you're saying about marriage, but you don't have any resources, provisions for the marriage. You don't have a house. We don't have any money, nothing. I said, you just want sex, not really marriage. Because you're not ready for marriage. You don't have money, you don't have a house. They live in temple. When you're married, you're going to bring the girl to come and live with you in the Brahmachari ashram. No. So I said, you just need sex, not that you want to marry. He looked at me and I said, Maharaj, you're right. The marriage also entails a lot of protection. Protection, the Vedic literature stipulates that the man has to be evolved, spiritually evolved, so as to be able to protect the wife, protect the children if they have children from birth and death. So there are so many ways that in ISKCON we are protected. A real devoted practitioner is a protector of his constituency. A real devoted practitioner receives ultimate protection from Lord Krishna. And if we are in a position to protect women, children, and the elderly, and we pretend not to see their suffering, we pretend not to see their abuse, we pretend not to see how they are being harassed, we will become culpable, we'll become unaccomplished. In law, you may not be the one who executed who really executed the whole thing. But if you know about it and you did not report to the cops, you're an accomplice. If you know about it, you didn't do anything, that means you didn't report. In other words, if we see people who are being abused and we just keep quiet, we're an accomplice. We're not helping with their protection. And this is exactly the situation. This is one of the main reasons why Drona and Bhishma were also killed in battlefield, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. In fact, after the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Krishna went back to Dwarka, one of his queens queried him, Pramana, how can you do this? They are our gurus. How you can be there and you allow our gurus to be killed? What am I to understand? Please clarify my doubts. And Krishna's response was that, yeah, they are our gurus, Drona, Bhishma. But you know what they did? They were there in the assembly hall when Draupadi was being derobed by Dusasana. Right there in the assembly. Drona was there, Bhishma was there. She was struggling. She was being heavily abused. A married woman, you want to derobe her, put her naked in the assembly. These people, they did not say anything. They didn't protect her. They're Kshatriyas. They are supposed to protect her. They did not. This is part of the reaction. So, this is a very clear statement from Lord Krishna, implying that when we see something wrong, being meant out to women. Women are being abused, children are being abused, the elderly are being abused, and we do nothing about it, we will become unaccomplished. So we have to be careful. The laws of nature, proper said, they're very stringent. So if we are in a position to protect, we must protect. If we can't do anything about it, we're looking for trouble. If we are not in a position to resolve the issue, we can report it. We can send information to the authorities or people who are responsible for dealing with such things. Otherwise, we become unaccomplished. Like what happens in legal settings. So, protection in ISKCON, Krishna also mentioned that we should protect the cows. And the protection of cows is not only the one that is producing milk. If we protect only the one that produce milk, then it becomes a business. It's like, I scratch my back, you scratch my back. I'm protecting you because you will have to give me milk. And the cow protection also entails the bulls and even the cows that have stopped producing milk. Yes, so we need to understand that we have a lot of responsibility in ISKCON regarding protection. We have to see that children are being protected. We have had bad experiences in our movement in the past where our movement was even sued by Gurukulas and so much money was paid. And that did not serve us as a deterrent. Some of us are still engaging in abusive behavior towards our spouses, towards even our own children. Yeah. It is that bad. So, if these things happen out there, we know, yeah, they don't know that they're going to get some reactions if even they are not jailed. But we know better that the laws of nature are very stringent, and we are going to catch up with the reactions to our misdeeds, to our crimes, to our abuse of women, children, and the elders. And so, yes, protection should be the watchword of everyone. And protection is very much emphasized by Prabhupada in all his teachings. Protection, women, children, elderly, the cows. And ISKCON devotees all over the world, they are trying to ensure that Prabhupada's instructions are being implemented. Ultimately, we have to understand that we need that protection from birth and death. And therefore, we need to be serious with our devotional practices so that these could be the last bet. Hare Krishna. Maybe there are some comments or some queries, questions. Already spoken for more than 40 minutes. So maybe there's some comments or some questions. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming to participate in this discussion. Any comments?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, so there are questions. I will start with the questions in your chat.
Okay.
It's the first question is, what does it mean that everyone is protected within ISKCON?
Okay. So that's a nice question. Krishna is protecting everyone in the sense that he allows us to have free access to devotional service. That means the very protection he provided. He gives us a chance to be able to indulge in devotional culture. Krishna is not only giving protection to devotees in ISKCON, he gives protection to everybody. We are all born, that we came through a system of pregnancy for 9 months or 8 months. So Krishna is being the protector. And for the individuals, for those of us who are in position of authority, position of power, or family heads or heads of constituencies, heads of projects, teams, we need to ensure that the protection that Prabhupada emphasized in his teachings, they are being implemented. And therefore, if we see something in America, that is a slogan, you see something, say something. You see something someone being abused. I remember I was in Vrindavan, and I was staying outside in private quarters. I was this story, 3-floor building. So I was on a ground floor with some devotees. And one of the devotees who was cooking for me, it's a lady. She came in one day from our home, and she said that upstairs there is one lady. I don't want to go to the details of their cultural background or countries, but one lady is married there. It's a local. The husband is a local. The wife is a foreigner, and the wife is being beaten. Even right there in Vrindavan. I was very much disturbed. And with this type of situations, people stay in Vrindavan, people stay in Mayapur, and abuse their spouses. They get terrible reactions in their very next life. So to stay in these holy places is very helpful if someone is sober, ethical, and humane, their behavior. But if we exercise animalistic behavior on the dam or anywhere in our communities, we will get some terrible reactions. In fact, I advise my disciples, if you're a woman, for instance, if you go anywhere in ISKCON and someone sexually harasses you, don't come and report to me. What does that mean? Report to the law enforcement agents, because that is not within my jurisdiction. I'm not a law enforcement agency. I'm a spiritual master. I'm not a law enforcement agency. I'm a scholar and not working as a law enforcement agency. Therefore, church actions are beyond my scope. And then the people in the right position have to take the appropriate action. So I don't condone abuse at all. I don't. And therefore, because these things have been emphasized, and right now it's going to set up a system where child protection is being emphasized and rules are being implemented. And even the Child Protection Office, now the GBC just developed an oversight committee made up of three prudent lawyers. So we have to understand that, yes, everyone in this country is protected. If it's just that if you don't know you're being protected, you don't know what is to be done at any given time, you're a child, you don't know what is to be done when someone molests you, you need to know, you need to find out how to deal with that. Because the protection umbrella is already there. And if someone try to violate you, an attempt or deed, action has to be taken. Report to the Child Protection Office, any cases of violation of any child. So yes, the provision is there in ISCON right now. Some people may not know, but the provision is there. And the voters don't need to fear. Be bold to be able to stand for yourself. Don't think that this just if you abuse and you keep quiet, that is humility. That is not humility. Because someone abused, the traumatic effect could be with the victim for a long time. So it's a very dangerous game. Yeah, so we have all of this legal system in place, and therefore everyone is protected. If you don't know how to get that protection, just try to find out, try to know how you are protected. You're protected by the laws. And someone violates the laws, then that person should be fired. That is my advocacy. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Okay, Maharaj, next question is how to develop trust to the senior devotees?
Oh, very good. That's a very good question. See, trust, there are three components of trust. A trust, if someone, this is how you determine who to trust. And trust is a very difficult thing, even in the secular world. I remember I was making a contribution to a conversation, online conference at Harvard University in America some years ago. And the topic was how trust was so difficult in management, how it is so difficult to trust managers. Why is it so difficult to trust managers? Yeah. So if you have these three, if you evaluate the person on these three components, these are the preliminary approach to trusting somebody, trusting a devotee. So you find out, first thing is, I call it SIG, C-I-G. The first letter of the acronym is competency. Competency means how effective is this person? How efficient is he? Efficiency and effectiveness. How prompt did they respond to a distress call? If someone is in trouble, someone is in pain, and they hear it, how fast do they respond to that distress call? If they have to wait until they get some message from Krishna in dream before they come to respond, don't trust that person. Effectiveness is very important. We find this even in government settings, in the government. Something happens, some disaster happens in a place. The governor personally goes there, or he sends a delegate to go there very promptly. They don't wait until days have passed. So yeah, what is the yardstick in measuring the effectiveness of the devotee? Is that it says one thing, and at the appropriate time to be able to help out the situation. It does a particular thing at the appropriate time. It goes to a particular place at the appropriate time. It calls out at the appropriate time to salvage a situation. That is effectiveness. Efficiency has to do with how much things they can do nicely, perfectly. Because if someone is not able to do multiple things to demonstrate, to showcase their competency, then how can we trust them? It means if I'm in trouble, they may have some other things to deal with, and they may not even respond to my distress call. And this is the case, especially when you have a problem. That is when you know whom to trust in your devotional life. If you see those people who come to you to be able to give you solace. Some people are just around you when things are good. When you encounter a challenge, you don't see them. That person is not to be trusted. So effectiveness and efficiency, they are important factors in competency. Second thing is integrity. Does this person walk their talk? Do they follow up with what they say? Do they say one thing and they do something else? Are they sincere? Are they truthful? Do they have favorites? Do they have favorites, and some people are not in their good record? Some people, they don't care. So these are situations we need to consider very deeply before we. Rupa Goswami said we should have a confidant in devotional life. Confidant is someone you can trust and share your challenges with, share also your accomplishments with. But if you don't understand this person, how are you going to start sharing your confidential issues with this person? Therefore, see, do they walk their talk? Do they say one thing and they follow it up? And when you tell them a small, very little confidential thing, did they keep it to themselves? Or they take you to the streets, they go and talk at the park about you. If they do that, they are not to be trusted. So we have competency, integrity, and goodwill. Goodwill means that this person, it doesn't care about your future. Doesn't care about your future, or it just simply tells you, do this, do this, do this, do this. Do they care about your future, or they want to simply use you as a workaholic? Do they care about your future? Do they even ask you whether you finish your rounds before they try to engage you? Sometimes we call people only when we need their help. We need to engage them. We don't really create a relationship. We just call them. It's another type of exploitation, but we use Krishna as a smokescreen. So these are situations that we need to take into consideration: goodwill, integrity, and competency. So the devotee must show some sign to be like a loving father. They care about your future. Like a loving mother, they care about your future. I remember even when I was in a Kumara age, like 4 or 5, my father would call me up and say, "Hey, boy, what do you want to be in life? What do you want to become?" It's asking about your future, goodwill. What do you have? What is there in stock? Hey, what are you thinking of coming? Does this person ask you about, try to find out or wish you well, or they simply want you to serve them? So these are some 3 components of trust. You see, there are a number of reasons why it is difficult to trust people, and I gave some of those from a metaphysical point of view in my contribution to the Howard University online online conference discussion. You can check that also on my web. On the articles area, you'll find something relating to trust. Why trust is so difficult to attain. Why managers are so difficult to managers are very difficult to trust managers. So there are a number of reasons, and for the devotees, these 3 principles we have to look at as a watchword, as a benchmark for us to be able to trust somebody. Plus the fact that they are devotees means they are talking about Krishna, they're enlightening us about Krishna, they're training us about Krishna consciousness, or they are enlightening us about Krishna consciousness. But these other 3 components also have to be there. Because someone can just do that as service. But someone doing service doesn't mean that you have to trust them. Otherwise, you trust everybody you meet in Krishna consciousness, anyone who is put on tilak, and you go to tell your confidential matters with them, and look the next day whether they'll take you to the streets or not. So to avoid those type of situations, we have to examine people closely and ensure that we can trust them. Next question.
Maharaj, remember, yes, we're doing the simultaneous translation. You started to, go ahead too fast. Little bit slower. It's okay. It's okay. Just a little bit medium speed. Yeah.
Okay.
So when we have doubts towards some devotee, would that be a Vaishnava aparad?
No. We all have doubts. And doubts must be reasonable doubts. Otherwise, to doubt for the sake of doubting is meaningless. Doubt is a construct, and we have doubts, and that's what we need. When we have when we have ambiguities, we need some clarification. And for instance, Julian was in doubt about himself engaging in the battlefield. So doubting is one of the components of life. We are meant to doubt, and there are some people that we may doubt them, but doubting the person on what? On their competency, on their effectiveness, uh, efficiency, or their goodwill, or doubting on their integrity. There must be some component of that person that you have to doubt, because you can't doubt the person wholesomely. So part of their character make you to be doubtful about them. So but then, yes, we can doubt somebody if they behave in a particular way towards us that is not in consonant, that is not in alignment with the expectations of the behavior of the devotee. Then we can have it done. That's not a crime. That's not an offense. We just need to clarify, and we'll be good to go. When we clarify our doubt, that person may even become our best friend in the future. So, but we need to clarify doubts when we do have one.
Maharaj, that was again a bit too fast, a little bit slower.
Okay.
Okay. How do brahmacharis protect women?
How do brahmacharis protect women? That's a good question. Brahmacharis protect women by not exploiting the women. By not being in brahmachari attire and at the same time having sex with girls. You see, for a brahmachari, the woman may come and tell you, hey, even on the altar, the woman may tell you, the girl may tell you, let's have sex here. Who is there? Who is seeing? Nobody's there. Let's do it. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you. Now, that brahmachari should be in position to protect that woman by not engaging in the sex. That is how he can protect that woman. That is how the brahmachari should protect the women. Because the brahmacharis are naturally attractive to women. Because someone who is not having sex, they have that type of aura, that attracts and zaps women. But then the brahmachari should not abuse it. They should understand that this is a chance for me to prove myself, and therefore not become a victim of circumstance. When we become victims, there is no excuse. So, the brahmacharis and the sannyasis, the gurus, they protect women by helping to give them a sense of direction in Krishna consciousness, by engaging them, cultivating a relationship that is based on a daughter and a father, or a mother and a child. And therefore, there are so many things that we can do to be able to protect women by helping the women to understand their true value. And sometimes we just unnecessarily oppress women for nothing. We think we are superior just because you have a dick. Doesn't make you superior to anyone. So now in the morning, he was a guru to even women. And he kept even women nearby, close by in his ashram. But then the idea that he had was to give them knowledge, Krishna consciousness. And then they'll be ultimately protected from circle of birth and death. That's what we want. Financial protection may be good, supplying the financial needs of the women if they have the resources to do that. But ultimately, is to protect the women from, again, coming to take birth in this world, to give them knowledge, spiritual knowledge in devotional service, so that they can become purified and go back home, back to God. That is the ultimate protection that we all should strive to give to the women.
So next question is, in the family, how do I get my spouse to come to Krishna if she is not listening to me? It's from the husband, and she always does whatever she wants.
Sometimes, husband and wife, they were married before they came. Before one party, let's say one of the members of the family became involved in devotional service, and the other member has not become fully convinced, or the other member is still holding back because of some anantas or some samskaras from previous lives. We should not force them. We should continue to preach to them with love and care. I can tell you a story. There was this devotee, my friend, my close friend right now. He told me a story when he was younger, he got married, finished masters, he got married, he bought a house in America, he bought a house, he went to India, got married. So the lady was from Hindu background, but was not from Vaishnava background. So she was not chanting. She was a vegetarian, but the whole period she was not really engaged in devotional service. So he will continue to preach with love and care, not forcing, but continue to encourage her. Even when he was preaching to her, he was very much busy with so many services in it. Himself, it wasn't long when he joined the devotees, joined the ISKCON, and he was very good in services, so he had many services. But he was chanting 8 rounds, not 16 rounds. The time he was preaching to his wife, he was chanting 8 rounds, not 16 rounds. But then, when the wife thought over it, he told me how the wife was addicted to reading Indian newspapers into midnight. And so one time, the wife thought over all of this, and she just was blaming herself about, what is this? What is my mind doing to me? This is the best thing I need to do. My husband is doing this. Where is the loss? I will gain rather than any loss. So she decided that, all right, I will also do this chanting. And she started with 16 rounds. The other child is 16 rounds for some time. One day, she sat her husband down and spoke to him, telling him that he needs to change his attitude because Krishna has given him 24 hours. Now he needed only about 2 hours back from him, so he should be kind enough to give it to Krishna. So he said from that day, he started chanting 16 rounds because he thought this woman I was taking a lot of my energy, in preaching to her. Now she's the one coming to preach to me. Whew. So he never can say, he never can tell. We should be patient. We should be loving. If even the other partner is not cooperating in Christian consciousness, we should still be lovingly disposed. Because sometimes they say spirit is willing, but the body is weak. So we keep encouraging. The person should be taking prasadam, giving prasadam to this person who is a little bit spiritually lazy, and gradually they will build up pious credit to be able to take up the process of Krishna consciousness. So we should be patient and consistently try our efforts to bring about a positive devotional change in the person we love most. Yes, next question.
Нас любят. Итак, следующий вопрос. Как понять, когда нужно начать защищать кого-либо, особенно в кругу твоей семьи? Ведь бывают ситуации, когда одно может разрушить другие. Okay. So how do we understand when we have to start giving a protection to someone, especially in our family? Sometimes there are situations that it can ruin the relationship.
Protection, we should always give protection to our family members. Well, we're married, for instance, if the man, for instance, if someone is married, the man is responsible. This is a Vedic culture. The man is responsible for taking the whole family back home, back to God. Marriage is not a joke. And even marriage, listen, marriage is not a joke. If there are two things, there is the married person and there is the grihastha. A grihastha is a devotee who is married, who is following standard devotional principles. Very strict. And in that wise, they're preparing to go back to God. I recommend often about the devotees who are married or planning to get married to read the Gabada Samskara book, because that gives you an insight into what you need to do about marriage in terms of procreation, all these things, the things you need to do, the inventions and reinventions involved. So I recommend people read that book. And we don't encourage people fracturing their marriages. We don't encourage people breaking their marriages. We encourage people to endeavor to keep the family together and see how fences could be mended to create a positive devotional family change. Because sometimes we think we've done our best, but our best is not always enough. So if you're a husband, for instance, you're married to some lady who is not doing practice of Krishna consciousness, and you may want to say, well, let me just dump her and take up another lady. But we don't encourage that either. We should see how we cultivate this person If you love this person, why don't you cultivate her to become interested in Krishna consciousness? And in most cases, see, we have that, especially the men. Most men, they have that, patriarchal nature, thinking that because I'm a man, I'm in charge and I know everything. What can you tell me? You're a woman. But no, that's not true, because men don't know everything. The person in charge of education in the whole universe is a woman, Mother Saraswati. In fact, this planet comprised, which is having many countries, and continents. This planet is managed by a woman, Mother Bhumi. How dare we to say that we know better than women, or we are better off than women? Even spiritually speaking, in devotional culture, female is the best of the Christians, Radharani. So how dare we to think that we know better than women? We are better off than women. That's not true. The reverse is the case. Women have physical strength. Most men have more physical strength than most women. But there are some also women who beat up their husbands. So we should be in a mood of adjusting our lives to suit the marriage, adjusting our lives, adopting ways to suit the relationship. Don't expect the other party to be the only person to adjust to suit your own ways. It will not work like that. Marriage means 50-50. It's not that somebody is superior to the other person. Yeah, somebody may be a breadwinner, but the other person is also busy working at home. So the idea of protection is that a husband and wife, they work together to be able to create a congenial environment, atmosphere in the family. Positive energies, loving energies, so that there will be collective growth, emotionally speaking. So we have some problems, specific problems in dealing with our spouses. We suggest that you see some expert devotees. Now there are expert devotees practically all over the world. There are expert devotees who have high degrees in psychology and psychotherapy, people who have done domestic, people who read domestic counseling and all those. Devotees have all these type of skills. Don't go and take a problem to somebody who is not having skills in the field to just advise you, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. It's a good thing, but when we also get some additional input with specialist devotees, that makes a lot of sense. So we should not think that we have done enough, and we should think, yes, we've done enough, but that's not enough. We've done much, but that's not enough. We should see how we are protecting the family, protecting our spouses. They are Krishna's parts and parcels, okay? So the point is that in specific cases, you may need to see a devotee counselor. People who have passed through similar situations may tell you the strategies that you may need to take. And for me also, if you tell me a specific case privately, I may have to give you some idea about what you can do. I'm not only a Swami, I studied also a lot of things. I studied some psychology, psychology for adjustments and motivations. Even my master's, I did some things on education and philosophy. and a doctorate, a PhD I did, management and decisions. So yeah, I can help also devoted a lot of things, not just only about Krishna Katha. Yeah. All right.
Maharaj, there are a lot of other questions. Is it okay?
Let's deal with that.
Окей, let's deal with it. Так, следующий вопрос. Надарани Матаджи, значит, часто в ИСКОН нам говорят, ты можешь вмешиваться в ситуацию или говорить, если ты уполномочен решать этот вопрос или ты старший. В результате часто происходят какие-то жесткие вещи. Все молчат, думают, что это смирение. Как развивать правильную позицию смирения и влияния на нелегальные вещи? Okay, so Maharaj, the question is like this. Often in ISKCON, we are told that you can only influence the situation or speak up if it is within your jurisdiction to solve this particular situation, or you're a senior devotee. As a result, it's often happens that the horrible things happen. Everybody is quiet. They're thinking that this way they are showing their commitment, or they're being I'm so sorry. It's a they're being properly behaving towards the senior Vaishnavas. So how do we develop a proper humility, position of proper humility, and especially when it comes influencing illegal dealings?
Mm-hmm. That's a nice question. Now, we have 4 regulative principles. And if a devotee violates any of those 4 regulative principles, he or she should be held accountable. The management should know about it, because this is not a friend talk. If the management doesn't know about it, if you don't report to the management, then the reactions that come, you will also be a part of it. Now, if someone does something inappropriate and you are not their friend, listen, you are not their friend. It's difficult. It is difficult to correct them, because we human beings, we resist corrections. We resist change. And also, we're trying to show that we know everything, although we don't know everything. In this context, it's even very difficult because people are philosophers. Devotees are philosophers, so they tend to think that whatever they do, they can always justify their actions. So when you see something wrong, and it involves a senior person, you can tell their friend, someone who's close to them, who can help to remedy the situation. If it is something that is against the laws of ISKCON, or against the laws of the land criminal code, constitution, we should report to the authorities. If the authorities don't take action, say the temple management don't take action, we should send a message to the regional secretary of the area. See, there are hierarchies in ISKCON that you can always channel a report that is not been attended to. You report to the president, they don't do anything about it, maybe because of their friend, or because they want to cover them up. You should report to the regional secretary. The regional secretary doesn't do anything about it, report to the GBC. If the GBC doesn't do anything about it, report to there's a special person, ombudsman. GBC, they have an ombudsman person you can report matters to when GBC, concerning any GBC. It's called ombudsman, you can report. Devotee should know all these details. And so that the ombudsman takes action. They may forward that, they may investigate, and they may forward that to the GBC. Or even right now, there is a group, intellectual group, it's called Sabah. They are the Sabah is intellectual, group of intellectual devotees, pathetic to so a number who review GBC resolutions before they are finally passed. So sometimes I'm also a member of Sabah. So sometimes people send reports to us and we take it up, we review it. Sometimes we have to call them to find out the details. And sometimes we don't able to resolve it completely. Idea is to send it to the GBC. This matter came to us. We don't know whether it got to you. This is the case. We're saying this matter is inappropriate. This is what we feel should be done. Now the ball is in your court. So there are avenues that you can always channel your grievances or what you perceive to be an evil, what you see to be something contrary to Prabhupada's teachings. You feel free. No one is a prisoner in this movement. We are not in a gulag. So be free citizens, be free devotees, and express yourself if you see something wrong. Thank you for this question.
Okay, next question. Оба супруга долго практикующие преданные, инициированные. Вопрос в семье: как привести супругу к Кришне, если она не пришла? Так, это я уже сделала. Hare Krishna Maharaj, we know the duty of the husband or the parents is to take the family back home, back to Godhead. What happens if the wife or one of the kids along the line goes out of the practice of bhakti? Does it mean the husband or the parents didn't fulfill their duty? Give me a second to translate it in Russian and then please answer. Okay, I'm ready. Thank you, Maharaj.
All right. See, our duties have to be performed. We should not be attached to the results. Results, Krishna says, he is the enjoyer of sacrifices. When we perform our duties, it's like a sacrifice to Vishnu. It's like
Maharaj, this is too fast. I am so sorry. You have to slow down.
I'm sorry. Okay? I'll repeat again, okay?
Извините, я сейчас повторю еще раз. Okay, please.
So, this is a nice question. When we have a service to do or a duty, we should know that duty is to please Vishnu or Krishna or Srila Prabhupada. And we should do that duty without expecting that we are the ones to enjoy the results. And therefore, when we do our duty, the outcome is beyond our control. And so, you have a spouse, and they are in Krishna consciousness. At some point in time, they bloop. What can you do? They left Krishna consciousness. What can you do? You have a child, you have trained them up in Christian consciousness, and they are 18 or above. They're supposed to even take initiation and be responsible for themselves. But then they choose to go away from Krishna consciousness and break all the four regulatory principles. They are above 18, they are no longer living with you. There's nothing you can do. You have done your duty by raising them up in Krishna consciousness. Now, the issue is that because for the child, you brought the child into this world. Now, there are some explanations to that. And this is the reason why I said householders and prospective householders, those who want to marry, and those who are already married, those who want to have children, especially, should read the Gabadam Samskara book. Because if we follow the instructions of the Gabadam Samskara book, the samskaras required for pregnancy. In fact, the husband and wife have to chant 50 rounds each before sex. That's not a joke. For you to invoke a soul, a child that will not put you into a mess, that will not abandon Krishna consciousness. That is the test. That is the test of time. That is the test of the ethicality in the union, in the sexual union. Because those souls that are brought into the family through that intense devotional sadhana sex union, they would never give up Krishna consciousness. And because in most cases we're not able to do this, the child at some point in time doesn't want to follow anything. They want to break all the principles. Yes, they are above 18. We did our best. But because we brought them into this world, we still bear some of the reactions. Because we brought them into this world. If for the spouse, if we are divorced, they choose to do their own stuff, and you are divorced, you don't bear any reactions from that. But the child is still your blood. You invoke the child to come. This is the danger inherent in matrimonial procreation when husband and wife don't walk on the same page in terms of the sadhana needed before having sex to produce Krishna conscious centered mindset of children. Yes, next question.
Maharaj, that's all the questions that I had in the chat. There were a few raised hands. So devotees can ask a question, right? You will listen to it. Так, Илья, Сати Матаджи, были подняты руки. Актуальны ли ваши вопросы еще? Хотите ли вы еще задать вопросы?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I can ask my question. First of all, thank you for your sober and such a practical approach to these matters. I really appreciate that. all the things that you are saying. My question is, in that situation that you mentioned, when somebody wants to get married, but they don't have resources, and it is just based on their desire for physical enjoyment, hypothetically, from your practical experience, would it be, is it worth for this lady to go into this marriage? Because, you know, there are different circumstances. Sometimes some ladies really want to get married. But what do you think? If she already has a lot of service and she has a home, her children are grown up, would it be beneficial for her to go in such a marriage?
Well, that's a nice question. Can you translate that into Russian for the audience?
Yes, I've been doing it parallel to
Okay.
asking, yeah.
All right. Sati, thank you very much for the question, and thank you for being on the program too. Well, this is my take to it. Now, if the spouse is, if they are Krishna conscious, if the both parties are Krishna conscious, and the wife who says, okay, I want to sponsor, I will sponsor him, I will provide for the family, I will do this, I will do that. That's fine. See, the only flip side of that is from my own practical experience. I can tell you this. Now there was a marriage. I don't want to mention the country. There was a marriage between one devotee. He was temple president, and one professor. A professor was coming to the temple. So this devotee, he cultivated her. She became serious, and then eventually she became a full-time preacher. She was interested in preaching, so she gave up even a professorship job, became a full-time preacher, joined the temple, and then later this guy became interested in her, and so they got married. And so what happened was that at that time they were not even checking compatibilities. Another thing is compatibility chart, astrological compatibility chart. In Mayapur, my science guru, Jayapatika Swami, has been so much concerned about fractured relationship, fractured marriages, society, that he set up a system amongst his disciples that people want to get married, they have to check their Vedic astrological compatibilities and to see whether they have high matrimonial compatibility before they are given the green light to marry. In the past, I remember we were not focusing on that, and many of our marriages failed, unfortunately. So if there is this situation, so this lady, back to that story, this lady got married to this guy. They didn't check any compatibilities, just the concept that, we are devotees, so we are transcendental. They got married. And then there was this issue of heavy abuse from the man. And then I remember one time I was told how the lady was really like fried. And then one time during their fracas, he said to this guy, "Hey, you forgot that I'm a professor? And you didn't even go to college. And you have the guts to be harassing me and be so abusive." When I heard this, I couldn't contain myself. And later, she sued for divorce. She left. So the point here is that if husband and wife agree, the wife wants to be responsible, take the role of the husband to be responsible, to sponsor the needs of the family, etc. And still, they need to check from an authentic version of astrological charter about their compatibilities, because we've seen a lot of fractured relationships based on the fact that we transcend this type of things. In fact, my disciples and my followers, my mentees, this is imperative factor, just following in the footsteps of my science guru, Japati Goswami Maharaj. I really go into all of this with my disciples who get married or who are getting married. Yeah, we check all these things. So that is something that one can reckon with. And if the person involved, he checks or she checks these things, if they are in order, and even the other party does not have financial resources. I've seen cases like that. There was this doctor who married one devotee, they were from South Africa. And then the guy, I remember I met them in Mayapur. I think one of them, I don't know whether two of them are disciples of Bhakti Tirtha Swami, but one of them for sure, And so I met them in Mayapur one time. I was speaking with the husband and wife. So then I said something in the line of whether the husband was taking good care of the wife. And the lady, she interjected. She said, I'm the one taking care of him. But, it was fun. Yeah, so back to the point. Yeah, such marriage, if compatibility charts are clearly verified and it's good, and the wife or the the partner feels that they'll be free from any type of fracas that will one day turn to a situation where they will again go back to the beginning, then, they can try it if they follow up with all of these necessary protocols and procedures. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and if a lady expects this person to provide for her, even though she can provide for herself, but there's this traditional idea in Russia that the husband has to provide,
Yeah.
protection and also the material things.
Yeah.
Yeah, this complicates it a little bit, right?
Yeah. Because it's the natural situation. I tell you, even now, even the rich guys, the highly educated guys, another case of, my personal assistant in Washington, D.C., he's a professor, he has the PhD, 2 masters, and now he's a U.S. diplomat to South Africa. And so when he was trying to get married, when he finished with his studies, and so there was this Indian lady, she's a doctor. So they were talking, and he will have to, cross-check with me everything. A grown-up person, he will cross-check with me everything. He served also in the military as a major. I think is preparing to go in the rank of a lieutenant colonel now. So at that time, when he was preparing for his marriage with this Indian lady, who is the doctor, and when they were discussing, the lady said that her Guru Maharaj said, Guru Maharaj is the traditionalist guru. Okay, so Guru Maharaj said that lady should not work, and that when she gets married, she will resign from work. And the guy said, okay, go marry a guru, and I'll not marry you. So yes, the natural sequence of events sometimes take a flow, and so the lady might still be nursing the idea that, hey, You are the husband. You are supposed to provide for my needs. What?
Yeah, right. I know.
And you know the psychology of it is that sometimes it could create also some type of psychological conflict, because then that responsibility is not there. The lady may not be so much submissive to the husband. He says something, then she'll be thinking, what is he talking about? What does he know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if someone is able to if someone is having a high psychological adjustment, I would say it's okay. But in most cases, the point is that the natural flow of our inherent nature will come to play. And one day, I tell you, let me just give you an example of what happened to me just recently at the Oxford conference. Okay, so look, I'm trying to be a devotee. Okay, so as I'm supposed to be humble. Okay. So but then, when I made one of my presentations, and then one professor was trying to ask a question, and then he said, Mr. Das. So immediately I interjected. I said, hey, I am not Mr. Das. So the problem is there in us. Even when you're devoted, sometimes you mix with all these people, and then you think, hey, they should be addressing me as Dr. Das, not Mr. Das. So the husband who is not providing, one day the wife will say, hey, what the hell are you doing with your life? This is not how a man should live their lives. You should provide for the family. You don't know this? So if the woman is prepared to deal with all these consequences, I say go ahead. But otherwise, these things will flow at some point in time. It's just natural. Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, Mr. Das is an oxymoron, so it's kind of, yeah. And one more thing, I dabble in astrology just a little bit, and I just wanted to say that all my teachers were saying that you need to do the compatibility test and check compatibility before you are attached in a relationship, and especially before the physical comes in, because as soon as you get attached, even in your mind, this compatibility, they will tell you you're not compatible, but you're already attached. So there's no change, Karma is already working. So yeah, take care of yourself and do compatibility before you get attached.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes, any other question? Lavanga? Lavanga is there?
Maharaj, we already half an hour over our time limit.
So,
yes, so Nandarani Mataji will say a few words to wrap it up. We thank you profusely for your wonderful time that you gave us. And so Nandarani Mataji, who organized this wonderful discussion, will say a few words, and I will translate to you. Nandarani Mataji, говорите, а я ему переведу.
Спасибо. Дорогой Махарадж, для нас сегодня историческая дата, когда вы впервые проводите тематическую встречу для русскоговорящих вайшнавов.
Maharaj, today is a historical date. It's the first time for the Russian and speaking Vaishnavas that you are doing this kind of themed discussion.
Okay.
Мы вас немного задержали, потому что сложно утолить голод общения с садху.
We are sorry that we have delayed you so much because it's so hard to actually fulfill this hunger that we have towards the association of the sadhu.
У нас даже нет возможности поднести для вас гирлянду, поэтому воспользуемся опцией Манаса Пуджи и смиренно предложим лучшие лепестки роз вашим стопам.
We don't even have this option to offer you a garland. So we're gonna do the Manasa Puja and offer to your lotus feet the best rose petals we can find in our mind.
И очень надеемся, что подобные встречи будут хорошей нашей традицией.
And we sincerely hope that this kind of themed discussions will become a part of our tradition.
Спасибо вам большое, Харе Кришна.
Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for thanking me, and thank you everyone for coming to participate in these discussions. Haribol.
Thank you, Maharaj, once again.
Haribol.